Welcome to TorahTalk, brothers and sisters. Welcome to TorahTalk, brothers and sisters.
Breaking my heart with your unbelief. I ain't gonna wait forever. Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? You're either hot or you are cold. And people, it's all or nothing now. People now.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to the TorahTalk show with Lew White and Mark Davidson.
The SICKLE series.
A Torah Institute production.
Mr. White, how are you, brother?
Mr. Davidson, hello.
How are you, mate?
I'm fine, thank you. It's great seeing you.
Yeah, you
hey,
too.
kind of
Yeah.
like go out and have a picnic.
That's it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks, mate.
Well, I hope people enjoy the loose and comfortable conversations we have, don't you?
Yeah, they certainly are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
You know what's coming up in a couple of days? Well, some people are observing it differently, but it's Shabuoth, wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Christians think it's the birthday,
and
that's witchcraft. You know, birthday is what? You know, where's the birthday? Well, it's a wedding. Yeah, it's yeah. Well, the whole pagan format, though, is teaching the gospel through the filter of the framework of paganism. Basically, that's what we've all discovered. And that's why you look at the scriptures and then you study it and then you go, well, what's the world look like? And then, oh, it's completely different, isn't it? Yes. Well, we don't do that. And I was reading in some seminar the words of Constantine, who absolutely took pains to avoid any contact with whatever the Yahudim were doing. And they completely revamped everything, and they adopted they readapted all their pagan festivals, you know, symbols and everything.
Wow.
But anyway, Shabuoth.
Yeah. You got a day off today, mate?
Actually, I do. I do have a day off today.
Great. Preparation day.
Yeah. Well, it won't be like I'm going to be lollygagging because I've got so many projects just like you do.
Yeah.
I just don't have to go to the secular job, which is really not where my heart is anyway. But I've got a lot of work to do. The videos the recordings that you've already produced, I've got to get them going, and I'm working on I've taken over well, not completely, but I'm working on the Besorah of Yahusha.
Yeah, what's that about? Are you collaborating with Paloma, or what's happening with that?
Well, Paloma took over. Well, Pam took over that project and had someone working with the text to correct and perfect and get all the nuances. But what I like to do is, well, she ran out of money, and of course she was giving away a lot of them. So the cost of replacing the copies was just not there. Just like with my books, we're barely able to reprint them, and in fact they're being reprinted now. We have no idea how we're going to pay the other half, the amount owed. But Yahuah has always somehow provided, and the books, the Besorah, need to be out there because people are looking for a trustworthy translation that's got the restored name in Paleo Hebrew, and that's a very important feature to people. And little things like corrections, and I keep stumbling over this too because when I quote scripture, there's little things that pop out, like in Malachi, the Son of Righteousness is in the translation, when it really should be servant of righteousness, because the word underlying that is shamash, and it can mean son, but it is in that reference actually pointing to a servant, my servant of righteousness, not my son of righteousness. That doesn't make any sense, and that's why a lot of people stumble. So we're going to correct little things like that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That'll be a big thing to print.
Well, it'll be over 1,200 pages probably, yeah. So it'll be, thick. And I'm thinking of making it an 8.5 by 11 inch size. So it'll be a larger size than the last one, and that'll help people too.
So you've kind of taken over the production, the organization of it.
Well, if Yahuah wills, I'm going to get it done. It just isn't getting done.
Yeah.
And somehow I've got to take it up, and even though I'm very busy, that's why I handed it off to Pam in the first place, is because I don't see any way to do this with all the things that are on my plate. But this is a very important thing. In fact, Chris Koster, when we were speaking about it, and he writes about it too. The fact is, there's nothing that's more important than that project.
That's true.
Nobody's usurping Yahuah's word. It's just that there's other ways to improve on what Chris did. Because Chris, just like ourselves, we don't have all the information at our disposal right now. It's unfolding. Not that there's progressive revelation in the sense that, the mystical, whatever that magisterium is.
The way to be delivered.
Yeah. Well, we can do refinements, and we have better understanding as the days go by. I mean, what we knew a year ago is vast, but then what we know now, we would not want to give up what we've learned in the last year. There's wonderful things. Yeah.
So
exploring.
So you feel it's more worthwhile going with the Besorah project than working with the ISR with the ISR version?
Oh, I want to do both. I have a very high respect for that translation. So we want to stick, and we're going to continue to carry the ISR. Yeah. Of course, I used to kind of headed up the United States distribution for that. But after all the attacks, he's into marijuana. He's selling pipes. Well, hello. They were selling heroin in the early 1900s for a nickel a jar. But whatever. I don't use heroin and I don't use marijuana, but I don't judge people. I mean, the other people that do, there's a lot of people that do. And what's that about? Is there any? Let's look at the Torah.
Yeah.
The one that he gave us at Sinai. He said, do not add. And what's adding? Oh, they made pot illegal. They did? You mean he created a plant and they made it illegal? What? How could that happen? Because everything Yahuah created is good until someone comes along and abuses it. A little child running around with a stick. What might happen? If you're a father or a parent of some sort, and you see your child running around the other children with a sharp stick, you rein that in. you know, behavior is where it's at. You know, it's behavior.
Yeah.
You don't look around the surface of the planet and go, wow, this object is evil. You know what somebody could do with this? It's a glue stick. You could blind yourself. People are dying in automobiles. You know, you don't outlaw them and go after the car dealer and go, you know what you've done? They ran stop signs with these things. Come with us. You know, these people are, you know, out of control. Judging other people's servants. We have to teach the commandments and get off the little, you know, Pharisaical, I'm better kind of thing. We're not better. We're flawed. We're broken. We're in a hospital, the Natsarim hospital, you know. And we don't want to look at the other patients and go, oh, boy, you've got it bad, buddy. Man, you're not going to make it. You know, well, the doctor's going to take care of us. The healer, you know. It's our hearts.
Yeah.
And, anyway, getting back to Shabuoth, I was so busy. I haven't had a lot of time to prepare, but, you know, we've got years of experience of observing the festival, and we understand that it's on the morrow after, or the morning after, or not the morning, but the morrow, the day following the 7th Sabbath from the count during the high Sabbath, or the weekly Sabbath in during Matzah. So some people start with Abib 16. Now, if you start with Abib 16, that would be okay if it happens to be the weekly Sabbath. But if it's, you know, because you see the real problem is, and I'm not sure, I haven't ever been able to figure it out, but somehow there's this thing called the sign of Yonah. The sign of Yonah. Yahusha mixed that into the whole formula as if he was bringing something forward in time to apply to a particular mystery, a secret that has been kept, and that is that they were observing Shabuoth apparently at the wrong time. And it doesn't say that, because all the nation was collected at the same time and they were gathered in one mind. So I doubt that. I think that they were doing it correctly at one time, and then slowly after the dispersion in 70 CE, things changed. But Yahusha said something interesting about 3 days and 3 nights that would transpire as the sign of Yonah. So what is it? We're talking about the resurrection being 3 days and 3 nights after, because Yonah's expulsion from the whale, or the big fish, actually, just this big, great fish, was a type of resurrection. And he had gone down to Sheol, and he was wrapped around in the cords of death, and, you know, he was at the roots of the mountains and all that. Well, that's death, Yonah was describing. And he wasn't really dead, but he was as if dead. And then 3 days and 3 nights later, he's resurrected. And he has a completely different look by that time, probably. That bleached out look, and, you know, and then so, of course, everybody knows that Yonah was a black man. So that bleach really, you know, fried that. Yeah.
He was before that, anyway.
Well, he may have been. I don't know.
He was white when he came out.
Yeah, that's. But the fact is, you know, hey, what happened to you? Did you spill acid on yourself? And anyway, the 3 days and 3 nights factor into this. But Abib 16 is the day after the high Sabbath of the 15th during the spring festival. So you've got Matzah on the 15th, and then today the Pharisees, or the Rabbinical Judaism people, they keep the 16th of Abib as the day of first fruits. Now, first fruits is the waving of the omer, it's a barley, that the high priest did. They don't do that now, but the barley was ripe, or in the head, and the grain. That's what Abib means, grain, bright grain. Anyway, the waving of the sheath was a picture of Yahusha's resurrection. And he was waving himself before the throne of Yahuah. And that's what is interesting, because Miriam realized who he was when she was right near the tomb, and he said, "Oh, don't touch me. I haven't yet ascended to my Father." And so, what was he going to ascend to his Father for? He was going to present himself as first fruits from what's going to follow is the great harvest of people. We're not talking about plant life. We're talking about a picture, a metaphor. Now the first fruits, if the first fruits, being the resurrection, was on Abib 16, the day after the high Sabbath, then Yahusha missed it, because he was in the tomb 3 days and 3 nights, and then he came out and presented himself on the morrow after the Sabbath of the week. So the morrow after the Sabbath, during the week of Matzah, we have a Sabbath somewhere in that 7-day period, and that morrow after would be the first day of the week. I'd rather not call it Sunday, but that's what it would be if a Roman was describing it, the day of the sun. So we have that, but we know that it was counted from that point, and then 7 complete, intact, real weeks. Real weeks. That's what it says. Tamamim. Tamamoth or something like that. It's a modifying word to Shabbathoth. Shabbathoth is the plural for Sabbaths. And the word Shabuoth, plural, is Shabuoth. Weeks. Of course, that would be the same thing, because a real week is a real week. It isn't just a group of willy-nilly, any 7 days that you want to pick. And that's the way they work it out. So and I'm not criticizing the people that do that, because these are shadows. Don't be upset. You're outside the shadow, you're inside the shadow, a little too far. That's all right. Yahusha will tweak everything and go, okay, you get it. The understanding of love is the most important thing. That's the goal. It isn't about, all the, you don't have it right, judging and all. So anyway, you count those 7 complete weeks, real weeks, up until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath. So you have on the first day of the week, as we have this week, on the 19th of the 5th month, the 19th day, starting the evening before at sunset. Of course, there you go. You got those people that start the day in the morning, and so you've got those people too. So we're all doing things differently. Not all of us, but some of us.
There's a lot of push for pulling texts out that say they met together tomorrow. They met together the day after the Sabbath. Oh, that means we should be meeting together on the Sabbath. Radio coffee. We started this show 50 episodes ago with that cup, and we've still got it.
50 episodes. Now, it's interesting, you mentioned this before, that the Torah Talk number 50 is like a Jubilee, but it's that would be 50 years, of course, but the 50th episode is about the 50th day, which is Shabuoth.
Count 50.
Yeah, up to 49 days, and then up to the morrow after the Sabbath. So the 50th day. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. I had a question that I pulled out of this.
You had a question for me? Wow. You're confident. As if.
Box of mystery.
Yeah.
Hey. Anyway, I pulled it out of this box of mysteries, and look at this. Here's a flashcard.
What is the most significant event in human history? Yeah. Chris said that to me. Did you know that? I said, no. I didn't know that at all. I wouldn't have even thought to ask a question like that.
Well, it was, of course, everybody knows what it is, and here it is.
What was the question again?
Oh.
What is the most significant event in human history?
Oh, yeah. Now, if you didn't have any belief in the Creator creating the universe, and the universe didn't create itself, I think I've got a card that says that. And I saw this on the internet, so it has to be true.
Yeah.
Now, this is the answer. What is the most significant? If you don't have Yahuah.
When trees crawled out of the ocean and adapted to land.
Of course. That would have been really significant, because there's many more plant species than there are animals. But of course, that's wrong, isn't it? They didn't really crawl out of the ocean. But the most significant thing, all right?
The resurrection of Yahusha. Acts 17, 1 Corinthians 15.
And those are describing the fact that if he did not rise, well, Acts 17 says that this is the evidence, that he is who he is. And that 1 Corinthians 15, 14 through 17 talks about the fact that if he did not resurrect, then we're all doomed. We're going to perish because we're still in our sins. And that means that we are going to die like dogs, possibly. But that's not our hope. Our hope is in our redemption, which is our bodily resurrection or transference into, the ascended being that he plans for us. Now, before that happened, what was the most significant thing in human history? Do you know what it is?
Oh, I've seen it.
You've already seen it?
I've seen it. I cheated. Yeah.
You cheated. The giving of the Torah at Sinai.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that changed everything. And that's what the scientific dictatorship that we understand is taking place. The New Age. People say New Age. New Age. Well, what is the New Age? The New Age is the Old Age, the philosophers. And they want to exclude Yahuah entirely. And they want to dictate and worship mankind and the wisdom of mankind.
It's not
just
new
like,
at all.
Like the Tower of Babel. We're great. We're going to make a name for ourselves. That's the key to scientific dictatorship. And it's globalism. It's the goal, actually. They've got their little 10 Commandments on the Georgia Guidestones. People that haven't heard of that, Google Georgia Guidestones. Anyway, this is the most significant thing before the resurrection that ever happened to mankind. Yahuah actually came down on the mountain in fire. He descended on this mountain, and then he made a covenant with this mixed multitude of Israelites and other captive nations that had all come out of Mitzrayim or Egypt, and they heard his voice, and they say that the whole earth heard his voice. The words went out into all the earth.
Wow.
And everyone heard it in their own language, even though they were thinking, Korean or not, I don't know if that existed, it probably did. Chinese, just an incredible speaking in tongues. Yeah. So who was the first one to speak in tongues?
Yahuah.
Yeah, he was speaking in multiple languages, but only speaking in one language, but he made it available for everyone to understand him. The same thing happened the day that the Natsarim, the 120, came down from a room somewhere in the temple complex, and they were filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. The Shekinah is the key to this, because when they were brought to the mountain, where was the Shekinah, the pillar of cloud?
Fire.
It was in the behind the dark smoke and the black in the dark smoke that Moshe was called there, and that Shekinah was a visible manifestation of the presence of the name of Yahuah, and it's like the Shema. It's Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuah, our Elohim. Yahuah is one, and the name that was placed upon the priests was, Yahuah, or the priest put the name on the people. That's what he did. But the name was placed upon the children of Israel by the high priest, and the priest would do that. It says, what is it? Yahuah bless you and keep you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and show you and give you shalom.
Yeah.
Now, lifting up his countenance means that he is smiling upon you. Did you know that?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if somebody lifts up their countenance upon you,
Yeah. It's a good thing.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But the operative word in all that, though, is the name Yahuah. Anyway, the Shekinah descended in little tongues of fire, as if tongues of fire, upon the heads. Now, we don't know how big these were. We see artist renditions of little fire things, little tiny flames, like a candle, or a taller one. We don't know that their whole head wasn't glowing. We don't know. Or it could have been their whole body.
Yeah.
Upon their heads means upon the top of their body. And so the whole body could have been a shaft of light. And of course, fire in the ancient world was light.
Yeah.
That was, when somebody said fire, light, that's what they're talking about. But now we have other options for light. We don't just go over and say, turn on the fire. You know. But back in those days, see, they did that. And so the light that was coming off of these people was probably just beautiful. It probably was multicolored. And when I had my vision of Yahuah for the first time, I remember seeing a column of transcendent. You could almost see through these various layers. You could see colors inside, like a shaft of red and a shaft of soft blue and green, and just different purples and things. And they were concentric, but they were all one giant column, but they were columns within columns, you know.
Wow.
Wheels within wheels, you know, circles within circles. I don't know. And I did not know him. I didn't even know the Shekinah existed. I'd never even heard about a Shekinah. But when I saw that, I felt this joy. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Everything was going to be all right. Because we aren't in charge, nor are we in control. And the power that we think we have isn't anything. It's not by might, or not by power of ourselves, but by his Spirit, which is given. And when the power of the Spirit is given, when the Ruach has come upon you, Yahusha said this in Acts chapter 1, verse 8.
Bit closer.
What?
Bit closer, that's it. You will receive power when the Ruach HaKodesh has come upon you.
Yes. And, well, the imitator, the dragon, is going to, we think, deceive the nations because of what's revealed to us in Scripture. I think it's Revelation, let's see, I made a note. Revelation 13. Has anybody looked at that lately? Let's look at that real quick. I have that somewhere here. Revelation 13. And I think it's verse 13. Let's see. Right around, well, let's start at 11. Revelation 13:11. And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and spoke like a dragon. Well, see that? He's trying to imitate. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from the heaven on the earth before men. And of course, he leads astray those dwelling on the earth because of those signs which he was given to do before the beast. So, what does that remind us of? Well, it reminds us of Sinai, the Shekinah, the fire, the pillar of fire. We also are reminded of Acts chapter 2 and chapter 3, when the fire descended upon the Natsarim. So,
you were talking about the power. What was that flashcard you had? The power.
Oh, Yeah, that's Acts chapter 1, verse 8. That's Yahusha speaking to them just before he ascended.
Yeah. I think most Natsarim can testify to that power. I mean, after being a, Christian all my life, but a serious Christian for probably 10 years, there's still no power in it. You're still just going around the same mountain, trying to overcome, trying. You never get anywhere. But when he comes in, and like it's when you did that whole study about the name and the Shekinah, and you linked it all together, the presence of his name, that makes sense. Because when you're immersed in his real name, whew, it's hot. You even go anywhere near sin, and whew, it's hot. You don't want to feel that.
You don't like it either.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Chris was reminding me about the test. It's Hebrews, what is it?
12.
Chapter 12, verses 5 through 11.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
The test.
You get flogged.
You know, you get flogged and you don't like it. You know, you just have to get through every little thing and you just have to surrender. That's what it is.
I think people get used to the flogging. If they don't want to give in, they just get used to it. And they just get used to being miserable. You don't have to be like that. You can just respond and change, and it lifts, and you repent, and you get on with it, and you move on. But people just want to dig their heels in, and they just get used to that pain. Now, I don't know how you get used to that pain. Oh.
Yeah. When people won't obey his commandments and keep his festivals and understand what the shadow pictures actually are pointing to, it's all about his redemption.
Yeah.
And they don't want to feel like they need a redeemer, I guess, or they want to be free to go ahead and have fun in their flesh because they're looking at everything from the perspective of the flesh. In Matthew 22, there's an interesting thing about him inviting us to the wedding feast, which is done through the appointed times. You know, people that don't know what those are can go back and look at the videos on that. What is it? There's a collection of videos, and I think it's called The Observances.
Yeah.
The
wedding feast, is it?
Yeah. And it's all about the wedding feast, really. They all point to it. The invitation is given all through the year to come to the festival. Come to the wedding feast is the objective, of course. In Matthew 22, it says, and Yahusha responded and spoke to them again by parables. That's dark sayings, words that are put into metaphoric or allegorical, to veil what they really mean. The reign of the heavens is like a sovereign, who made a wedding feast for his son and sent out his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. In other words, there's a festival coming up. Let's take the day off from work. Oh, I can't. I'll lose my job. No, you put in the, you make arrangements. This is a vacation day, And he sent out his servants to call those, Again, he sent out servants saying, say to those who are invited, plead with them. See, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened cattle are all slaughtered, and all is ready. Come to the wedding feast. But they disregarded it and went their way. Now let's stop there and think about this. We understand Shabuoth to be a wedding. That's a wedding. Come to the wedding. Well, what are you going to get at the wedding? Well, you'll get his commandments. That's what this is pointing to. It's pointing back to Sinai. They call it Pentecost, which means count 50. And TorahTalks counted to 50. This is 50th.
Yeah.
Now, here's what happens next. Yahusha is giving this as an illustration of people who will not listen to his voice. And the rest, having seized his servants, all right, that's what it says before that in verse 5, but they disregarded this invitation, and they went their way, this one to his field and one to his trade, that one to his trade. And the rest seized his servants and insulted and killed them. But when the sovereign heard, he was wroth and sent out his soldiers and destroyed those murderers and set their city on fire. Now, what's going to happen in the end days?
Fire.
Yeah. Then he said to his servants, the wedding feast indeed is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Therefore, go into the street corners, and as many as you find, invite to the wedding feast. Now, who are those people? The servants are the prophets and their words that we read in the scriptures. Those are the servants. Invite all. And as many as you find, invite to the wedding feast. And those servants went out into the street corners and gathered all whom they found, both wicked and good. And the wedding hall was filled with guests. And when the sovereign came to view the guests, he saw there a man who had not put on a wedding garment. Now, the wedding garment is the white robes. It's the righteousness, the right brideful behavior. The bride behaves in a certain way. She obeys her husband. But this fellow was not wearing the robes of white righteousness, but was doing his own thing. But he came in expecting to get fed and to partake in the wedding. But he's not going to marry a bride that's corrupt and wrinkled up and dirty. And anyway, the sovereign said, "Friend, how did you come in here not having a wedding garment?" And he was speechless. And then the sovereign said to his servants, "Bind him hand and foot, take him away, and throw him into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen." Now, the Pharisees then, they went and plotted how to trap him in his words. And after that, that's Matthew chapter 22, if you want to see it. But we tell people, the Ten Commandments, the message, the festivals of the year that are special, not the witchcraft framework, Christmas and the bunny rabbit thing and Sunday. Those are all of mankind. That's the world. But Scripture is a completely different thing, and it's easier. It's actually easier. We don't have to go out and buy any baskets and chocolate. And we don't have to put up a tree with little, sexual symbols on it.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it. We don't have to put wreaths up on our front door. Anyway, they don't even know what they are. They just do it. But imitate Yahusha, and everything will be fine. Of course, it's going to cause your family to think you're crazy, because see, your viewpoint changed. Yeah. There was a. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, I was going to say there's a psalm. You betcha. I think it's Psalm 45, yeah. And this is about equipping the saints as well. Equipping the saints with what? Just going and listening to people talk and like us? No. You have to get into the Word and study it and meditate upon His law, His Torah, His instructions. Like Dawood says in Psalm 119. Psalm 119 is my favorite psalm. It's the longest psalm by far, but it talks about his instructions and how Dawood looked at those instructions. But here's a psalm that is about a sovereign who is rejoicing over his bride. Did you know that one existed?
No.
Psalm 45. My heart is overflowing with a goodly word. I address my works to the sovereign. My tongue is the pen of a speedy writer. You are more handsome than the sons of men. Favor has been poured upon your lips. Therefore Elohim has blessed you forever. Gird your sword upon your thigh, O mighty one, your excellency and your splendor, and ride prosperously in your splendor on the matter of truth and humility and righteousness. And let your right hand lead you to awesome matters. Your arrows are sharp in the heart of the sovereign. No, wait a minute. Let me start over. Verse 5. Your arrows are sharp in the heart of the sovereign's enemies. Peoples fall under you. Your throne, O Elohim, is forever and ever. The scepter of your reign is a scepter of straightness. You have loved righteousness and hated wrongness. Therefore, Elohim, your Elohim, has anointed you with the oil of gladness more than your companions. Now, who are his companions? It's his Natsarim. And who is he speaking to? Well, he's speaking to Yahusha. In verse 9 it says, daughters of sovereigns are among your precious ones. At your right hand stands the sovereignness in gold from Ophir. Listen, O daughter, and see and incline your ear, and forget your own people and your father's house, and let the sovereign delight in your loveliness, because he is your master. Bow yourself to him. And the daughter of Sor with a gift, the rich among the people seek your favor. The daughter of the sovereign is all esteemed within the palace. Her dress is embroidered with gold. She is brought to the sovereign in embroidered work. Maidens, her companions following her, are brought to you. They are brought with gladness and rejoicing. They enter the sovereign's palace. Instead of your fathers are your sons, whom you appointed princes in all the earth. Because I cause your name to be remembered in all generations. Therefore, the people praise you forever and ever. This is about the second coming, is what this is. And he's rejoicing over his bride. In fact, there's one place where he says he sings over his bride. Yeah. Wow. We're going to hear Yahushua sing over us. Isn't that amazing to think about? Yeah.
Beautiful.
If I could just read. My eyes are getting worse every day.
That's amazing.
Well, any other comments? Or
well, I was reminded at the beginning of the week, I was saying to Chris that I'm just over it all. Life is so busy, and I said I'm over the guilt. You get to a point where you're just over it. I said I'm over feeling guilty about the way I raise my children. I'm over feeling guilty about clients walking out. Did they receive what I said or not? Did they even care what I said or not? I'm so over feeling like I've failed in I'm like nobody's interested. I'm so sick of feeling guilty, like I haven't done a good enough job and all that. And so like you just put so much energy into things and they fall flat on their face. And he said to me, "You're not remembering that there's an army of demons out there just waiting to just." He said, "You just sound pestered." He said, "You're being pestered." He said, "Just it's not your job. You just do what you got to do. And you're not facing that. There's demons that hate you, and it's their mission to ruin your day, shut you up, depress you, make you angry." That really helped me. I told Amy about it. I said, "We're being pestered." I said, "Nobody around here lets us have it. They all just think we're weirdos," and like most Natsarim feel. And so that's fine. We go on. But I felt better after that. I thought, I'm not facing that there's just people everywhere. And you're not, well, it's part of the test, really. You're not facing that it's not the people. It's not flesh and blood. It's demonic. Yeah, what is it? Demons in high places, spirits in high places. So,
principalities and powers, and the spiritual realm is what it is. It's in our uproar. And I was telling you, when we were doing the Trinity study, with Stronghold, the ferocity that was being unleashed in the spiritual realm was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I just could not, I had never seen such behavior. And not just one place, it was happening all over the place. And of course, it was getting very severe. It was getting very physical there.
Yeah.
And when it breaks loose.
Yeah.
So we're being very protected, though. The one who is in us is greater than he who is in the world.
Good morning, sister.
I was trying to sneak in and not
sneak past me.
Good morning.
Here you go.
Love you.
You're going all blurry.
Oh, I have? Okay.
Oh, see what's happened when I interfere?
She's going to retrieve another cup of coffee for me. It's early morning here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those scriptures are wonderful. It reminds you just about, that's what we're in here for. I mean, we all put so much pressure on overcoming, and we often feel heavy and we're failure and everything like that. We don't often face the love. The whole point of this is love. Not his love. His love,
Yeah.
And I don't feel his love enough. I don't face his love enough. One of the signs that I'm feeling his love is I just tear up. I just when I'm in the presence of his love, I just can't stop it. Sometimes it comes through a song, a person, or I don't cry very often. What does that tell you? Don't feel his love enough. It's
Yeah, I remember sitting next to Brother Chris and listening to some music, and I lost it.
Yeah. You just
it's just special. I feel a real connection to you too, and I really miss you. When I don't see you very often, but we're going to see each other like once a month, aren't we?
Yeah. We'll call it quits on TorahTalk for a while, and we'll focus in on the boot camp.
The boot camp.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we need. We need a Natsarim Bootcamp.
Yeah.
You want to read Deuteronomy 16, where the festival of Shabuoth is described?
Good idea.
It's Deuteronomy or Devarim, chapter 16, verse 10. And you shall perform the festival of weeks. That would be Shabuoth. That's what weeks is. Shabuoth. Shabuah is week. To Yahuah your Elohim, according to the voluntary offering from your hand, which you give as Yahuah your Elohim blesses you. And you shall rejoice before Yahuah your Elohim, you and your son and your daughter, and your male servant and your female servant, and the Lew White, who is within your gates. Lew White, who is within your gates,
Yeah.
and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow who are in your midst, at the place where Yahuah your Elohim chooses to make his name dwell. And you shall remember that you were a slave in Mitzrayim, and you shall guard to do all these laws. And then, of course, it jumps back. Now, that's Deuteronomy 16. But in Exodus 23, we get a different take on that. Let's see. It says 3 times at Exodus or Shemoth 23, verse 14, it starts out saying, 3 times in the year you are to observe a festival to me. The festivals of Yahuah are grouped in 3. That's what we have to understand. Guard the festival of unleavened bread. 7 days you eat unleavened bread, as I commanded to you, at the time appointed in the month of Abib. For in it you came out of Mitzrayim, and do not appear before me empty-handed. And the festival of the harvest. Now that's what we're talking about, the harvest of the wheat. This is the barley was the first fruits, and then this is called the first fruits of the wheat. First fruits, Shabuoth is called that. At the festival of the harvest, the first fruits of your labors which you have sown in the field. And the festival of the ingathering at the outgoing of the year, when you have gathered in the fruit of your labors from the field. 3 times in the year, all your males are to appear before Master Yahuah. So, let's see. I guess that's about it. Let's see. Guard the festival. Yep. That's where it mentions the 3 times in the year. There are 3 main times. So you've got this early summer, or what they call it spring, and then you've got the mid-summer area, and then you have the, that's where we are approaching now, not for you, but up here in the northern hemisphere. And then in the late part of the year, we have the Sukkoth and Yom Teruah, and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and then we have the Festival of the Ingathering at the end of the year, which is going to be really, most of us think it's going to be the time of his actual coming, and that would be when he takes us into his booth. Yeah. That's when he takes us under his kuppah, his tent, which is going to be amazing.
Wonderful.
So it's all about a wedding.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to read that to you from Matthew chapter 22, because it's all about inviting the servants, the prophets have been calling come on to the wedding feast. And the ones that were called, now that doesn't mean that it's revisionism or what they call replacement theology, like those people didn't obey, so now the Gentiles are going to get it. Well, actually, the Gentiles are scattered tribes of Israel, and they're just being recalled like the prodigal son back to the covenant. And they're going, wow, I don't know what it is. I love these commandments. I've got to get back to the household. And the older brother has been keeping the ordinances, not maybe understanding a lot of it because they don't have a real good grasp on, the Messiah has come, and he's coming back. All the prophecies are being unfolded, but we don't want to be contentious with the older brother, because he's the one that's contentious. Really, he's jealous because he sees that, there's some sort of a slaughtering going on for the younger one. The younger one has just accepted the slaughter offering of Yahusha, and the older brother is going, what? You never threw a festival, a big party for me? Well, actually, he did, because he's included in this, because we're all one household. We shouldn't attack each other.
No.
We have to show love. Bridal behavior. I like that. That's something Chris came up with.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
That is. Love that. Bridal behavior. Yeah.
So you've been doing this feast for over 20 years. What does a typical day, high feast day of Shabuoth consist of for you? Like Sabbath, sun's coming down, new day, Sunday is starting. What goes on in your household? Do you rally the troops, or what happens? Do you have a party or what?
Yes, we attempt to arrange we call to our family that believes, and sometimes we invite those that don't believe, but mostly it's family, and we have usually a picnic, cookout, because the festivals were basically giant family cookouts. They were giant barbecues. They were, of course, kosher. They didn't have any pig's flesh, but they were basically called together to have a giant feast, and that's what festival means, feast. And a feasting, you're feasting upon, the party, food, but indirectly you're seeing that this is a metaphor for Yahuah's outpouring and his blessings and all the things that he's given to us to equip us. But mostly it's for understanding his love for us, and we're showing our love for him. And it's the husband and the wife coming together, and they're having an intimate relationship with each other. And that festival of coming together as a community, it doesn't have to be a big community, but we are scattered people. We're on all sorts of places on the earth, and people don't understand what it's about, but we understand in our heads what's going on. And so what we do is we just come together and we just have a party. And there's not really any order to it. We don't have, we do read the commandments. The commandments, especially on Shabuoth, we're going to read the 10 Commandments. And we should read them today. Don't you think?
Very good idea.
What? Now, let's see. What do you want to read? Let's read the ones that were given for the regathering of the scattered tribes. Now, Exodus chapter 20 is the actual original event, but that's a recording of the original event. But in Deuteronomy, the second telling, we have here an interesting thing. Let's read the beginning of this. And Moshe called all Yisrael and said to them, "Hear, O Yisrael, the laws and right rulings which I speak in your hearing today, and you shall learn them and guard to do them. Yahuah our Elohim made a covenant with us in Horeb," that's Sinai. "Yahuah did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, all of us who are alive. Yahuah spoke with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahuah and you at that time to declare to you the word of Yahuah. For you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up to the mountain, saying, and you did not go up the mountain, saying, I am Yahuah, your Elohim. Wait a minute, let me back up. My glasses are messed up. Okay, it says that I stood between Yahuah and you at that time to declare to you the word of Yahuah, for you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up to the mountain. And this is what Yahuah said, saying, I am Yahuah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, Yahuah your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing kindness to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands. I think I have a bumper sticker that says that. And the images, of course, he's referring to that are in the heavens above are the zodiac animals. Don't get that thing mixed up. Don't get the Maseroth involved. Yeah. Now, the third commandment is, you do not bring the name of Yahuah your Elohim to naught, for Yahuah does not leave him unpunished who brings his name to naught. Now, that means to throw his name or to cast his name to ruin. Now, number 4, guard the Sabbath day to set it apart as Yahuah your Elohim commanded you. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of Yahuah your Elohim. You do not do any work. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates, so that your male servant and your female servant rest as you do. And number 5, and you shall, no, it says, and you shall remember that you were a slave in Mitzrayim, and that Yahuah your Elohim brought you out from there by a strong hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore, Yahuah your Elohim commanded you to observe the Sabbath day. Number 5, respect your father and your mother as Yahuah your Elohim has commanded you, so that your days are prolonged and so that it is well with you on the soil which Yahuah your Elohim is giving you. Number 6, you do not murder. Number 7, you do not commit adultery. That means to break wedlock. And number 8, you do not steal. Number 9, you do not bear false witness against your neighbor. Number 10, you do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor do you desire your neighbor's house, his field, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. And these words Yahuah spoke to all your assembly in the mountain from the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a loud voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. So it was the most important thing in human history up until the resurrection of Yahusha.
How amazing.
Yeah, I love those commandments. Yeah. Can people just stop and think about the commandments and read them and love them and say, I want to love them? He will write them on your heart. He will write a love for the truth on your heart. And those are the truth. He said, your word is truth. And what word is that? That's his primary core of his word. All the law and the prophets hang from 2, and that is to love Yahuah your Elohim and to love your neighbor. And these are the 2 things that are derived from those 10 commandments. The first 4 deal with him and our relationship to him, and this last 6 deal with, of course, that's the number 6, the number of man. The last 6 are about our relationship with our neighbor, to love our neighbor as ourselves. And when we would be with our neighbor, we wouldn't want to steal his lawnmower or his diamond rings or whatever possessions that we might covet. We don't even covet them. We're just glad that he has them. That's why we have locks on doors, because people don't commit, because they don't obey the commandments. They don't love them. They think that they're keeping them from having fun or something. I don't know. It's a fleshly point of view. That's all I know. Because the mind of the flesh is not willing to obey. But when he gives you his Spirit, see, the mind of the Spirit is panting for obeying. It wants to, it desires mostly to see these words in action. Yeah, we're little Torahs running around. The word is literally come to life in Yahusha, and he's indwelling us. Who's the Spirit? Well, it's Yahusha's Spirit. And Yahusha, of course, we dealt with who he is too. Last time.
Yeah, the Aleph
He
Torah.
he revealed himself. He says, I am the Aleph Tah. I am El Shaddai. I was dead, and behold, I am alive forever and ever. But, yeah, they complicate it, though. They turn it into a ritual. It's a religion or something, but this is reality. It's a real thing. When when you receive Yahusha's Spirit, you know him. And that's the only thing that you can boast in. Because let him who boasts boast in this, that he knows me, Yahuah. And you can't know him without that covenant. You really can't.
Well, that's amazing, brother.
We've been going at it an hour.
Yeah, we certainly have.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. Exciting times.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll speak again in roughly a month.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'll only probably be a couple of weeks because we should do we should do the boot camp the same week that you've already rehearsed it, so it's fresh.
Okay.
The same week that you do your seminar, we should do it that week.
Yeah, the next one I'm planning is going to be called the test.
Yeah. And
it's with this new information that was given to Chris too. So we're going to have a good time looking at the test. Of course, we really need to include the test in everything,
Yeah.
Because it's epic.
Oh, yeah. It's epic, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank all the brothers and sisters for putting up with us for 50 episodes and for all the encouraging emails and comments on the video clips on YouTube. All the ideas and questions and things to discuss, Particularly in season 1, Chris was just always ask Lew this, ask Lew this. Go on, Mike, ask Lew this. It was really encouraging. Because some weeks I just have nothing to say. So he really encouraged me, and then we went into the Firstfruits and did all that foundational teaching and the eschaton, what's going to happen in the end, and then the sharp sickle, the wheat and the tares, and it's been a journey, brother.
Yeah,
and
it has.
It's not over.
Oh no, it's not over until the shouting, until the fat lady thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. When Yahusha returns, we're wanting him back so much. The world is just spinning way out of control.
Yeah.
But he is in control. But it's just supposed to get worse and worse.
Yeah.
We're seeing it. I was saying a lot of people are observing their first Shabuoth.
Yes. Yeah.
Just don't get too upset about when you may start or what you do. It's not about what you do. It's about what you observe him doing. Yahusha's always the one that's the operative redeemer. These are redemption shadows. That's what they are. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, have a good Shabuoth.
Oh, yes. And you as well.
Yeah.
I hope some things are unlocked for you, and his power becomes even more in your life. And
yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, because we got to control ourselves. Adults don't want to be controlled by other adults. You have to learn self-control, and you can't really do that. You have to be controlled by his Spirit.
Yeah,
and that's what really makes the difference. Okay,
wonderful. Well, that was Torah Talk.
Torah Talk 50.
Torah Talk 50. And who knows, who are willing, we might pick it up in the future, but we're on to the boot camp. That's important.
Yeah.
That was Victoria's idea, the boot camp. Victoria, she said that all the companies now are doing boot camps. They're getting all the young people in, training and boot camping. And Natsarim need one of those.
Yeah, the older people have to train the younger people so that they can, you know, be equipped, and then they teach their children and make the world a better place, you know. Okay?
Wonderful. Well, we'll see you soon, brother.
All righty. See you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, we'll do.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
People, it's all or nothing now. You're either a weed or you are Donnell. You're breaking my heart with your unbelief. I ain't gonna wait forever. Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? You're either hot or you are cold. And people, it's all or nothing now.
Keep on loving, stay obedient till the world ends. See the fire coming closer, stay in worship till the world ends.
Do you care now? Will you follow? People, it's all or nothing now. You're either a weed or you are Donnell. You're breaking my heart with your unbelief. I ain't gonna wait forever. Who do you think you're fooling? Who do you think you're fooling? People, you're hot or you are cold. And people, it's all or nothing now. All the while shall shine like the brightness of the sky, leading souls into righteousness and truth. Yeah, lifting up Yahusha in all they do.